A single dad janitor plays piano with a blind girl not knowing her billionaire mom is watching. The school auditorium smelled of polished wood and faint chalk dust, mixed with the lingering scent of old pianos. Evening sunlight filtered through tall windows, casting long golden streaks across the worn floor. Michael, a single dad and janitor, pushed a mop bucket slowly along the aisle, humming under his breath. His daughter, Emma, followed behind, twirling her hair nervously. They weren't here for a performance. Not officially, just a routine check. But then he heard it, a soft, trembling note, and then another, a girl's hands small, delicate, moving across the piano keys with hesitant grace. He froze. Emma had mentioned her new friend, Lily, but he hadn't expected this. The notes were uneven at first, hesitant, like someone feeling their way through a dark room. But there was something in them, something honest, something pure. Michael stepped closer, careful not to startle her. "Hey, need some help?" he asked softly. The girl looked up, smiling even though her eyes didn't see him. "I'm trying," she whispered, "but it's hard." Without thinking, Michael sat down beside her. His fingers hovered above the keys, instinctively matching her rhythm. Slowly, they played together two lives, connecting through sound, laughter, and small, perfect mistakes. Emma watched, wide-eyed, noticing the way her father's tired hands glided over the keys, how his brow furrowed in concentration, and how a quiet joy seemed to radiate from him. Meanwhile, high above in the balcony, unseen, a woman watched. Expensive silk gloves resting on the railing, designer heels tapping softly against the floor. Her breath caught. She recognized the child immediately. Lily, her daughter, blind since birth, fragile, and fiercely talented. And she recognized the man, not personally, but she recognized something rare, a father's heart, gentle yet strong, giving without expectation. A man willing to lift someone else's world while carrying his own burdens quietly. For the first time in months, she didn't feel like a billionaire. She felt human. Watching a connection she couldn't orchestrate, but that spoke louder than any wealth ever could. Michael laughed softly as Lily hit a wrong note, correcting it with a grin. Her hand found his, and they continued together, creating something neither had expected. The moment was fragile, beautiful, dangerous in its innocence. Rehook, every note they played would set in motion a chain of events that could change both of their lives forever. Michael's fingers moved with quiet confidence now, guiding Lily through the melody. The notes weren't perfect, but they carried warmth, laughter, and the kind of honesty that only comes from unpolished hearts. Lily's face lit up with every chord she struck right, her small hands trembling slightly as she reached for the next note. She didn't know that someone was watching from the balcony, someone who had the power to shape her entire world. From above, the woman, Lily's mother, Vanessa, couldn't tear her eyes away. She had seen tutors, teachers, and professionals try to coax music from her daughter, but none of them had ever sparked joy the way this janitor had. None had touched Lily's heart so gently, so naturally. Vanessa's chest tightened. She had spent years protecting Lily, shielding her from disappointment, controlling everything in her life. But here, in this dimly lit auditorium, she realized something essential. Love, encouragement, and patience could not be bought. Emma, Michael's daughter, perched nearby, whispered, "Dad, you're amazing with her." Michael's attention flicked to Emma for a moment, and he smiled softly. "She's amazing too. Music's in her heart, it's just waiting for someone to play along." Lily's hands found his, and for a moment, they moved as one. A misstep came, a jarring, off-key note, but Michael chuckled gently, shaking his head. "It's okay. Mistakes are part of the song. Don't be afraid." The simplicity of it struck Vanessa like a revelation. She had hired the best instructors money could buy, Yet here, the real magic came from a man who had no formal training, no degrees, no accolades, just love, patience, and the willingness to guide. The last notes lingered in the auditorium as the two finished the piece. Lily's chest rose and fell with a satisfied sigh. Michael looked at her, pride and affection mixing in his tired eyes. Vanessa felt a lump in her throat. She knew she needed to intervene, but how? Could she step into this moment without shattering it? She leaned forward, unseen, watching as Michael ruffled Lily's hair. His laugh, warm and unpretentious, made her heart ache. And then it hit her. This wasn't just a lesson in music. This was a lesson in life, trust, connection, and courage. She had to meet him. She had to know him, because something told her he was exactly the kind of man her daughter needed. Vanessa makes a decision that will bring her into Michael's world, unseen, unexpected, and about to change everything. The auditorium had grown quiet as other students trickled out, leaving only the soft echo of their footsteps behind. Michael was wiping his hands on a rag, smiling down at Lily, who was beaming, still trying to find her place on the piano bench. From the balcony, Vanessa took a steadying breath. She had watched long enough. She had felt the pull, the undeniable warmth of the connection between the janitor and her daughter. And now, she needed to step forward. Descending the staircase quietly, her heels clicked softly against the wood, but the sound was enough to catch Michael's attention. He looked up, startled, instinctively protective. "Hello," she said softly, her voice calm but carrying an authority that made him sit a little straighter. Michael's eyes studied her. Polished, poised, graceful, and undeniably powerful. Yet there was no coldness, only curiosity, and perhaps something softer underneath. "Hi," he replied cautiously. "Can I help you?" Vanessa hesitated, then knelt slightly to Lily's level. "I'm Lily's mother. I've been watching her practice, and I just wanted to thank you." Michael blinked. "Thank me?" He felt his chest tighten. For what? For playing with her, encouraging her, making music feel like joy instead of pressure. Vanessa said gently. Her eyes softened as she looked at Lily, who now perched shyly between them. "I've been so focused on giving her the best opportunities that I forgot what she really needs most." Michael felt a lump in his throat. He shrugged, embarrassed. I just like music. And, well, she's amazing. She deserves to feel it." Vanessa smiled faintly. There was something about his humility, the way he spoke without ego, that unsettled her in the best way. "You're right. She does deserve that." For a moment, none of them spoke. The golden afternoon sunlight filtered through the windows, falling across the piano keys, the dust motes dancing like little sparks of magic. Then Lily reached out, placing her small hand on Michael's arm. "Mommy, he's nice. Can he stay?" Vanessa's heart softened, watching her daughter trust this man so quickly. She nodded slowly, almost reluctantly, realizing her world, her control, her wealth, her careful planning couldn't replace this genuine connection. Michael smiled at Lily, then looked at Vanessa. "I'd be happy to, if it's okay with you." Vanessa hesitated, then extended her hand. "It is, and thank you, truly." In that simple gesture, a bridge formed between two very different lives, one built on trust, warmth, and a shared love for a little girl who had already stolen their hearts. As the first spark of trust grows, Michael has no idea how far Vanessa's presence will reach and how it will change his life forever. Part 4. The next day, the soft morning sunlight spilled across the schoolyard, glinting off the playground swings and the worn metal of the basketball hoop. Michael wheeled a cart of cleaning supplies past the classrooms, humming softly. Lily trailed behind, her small fingers brushing the polished floors as if they were a piano of their own. Vanessa stood near the entrance, arms crossed but leaning slightly forward, watching. She hadn't approached him yesterday beyond the auditorium, but she couldn't shake the feeling that Michael, this ordinary, tired, yet extraordinary man, had done something she could not replicate with all her money. When Michael reached the music room, he paused, hearing Lily's tentative voice calling from inside. "Can you help me with this part?" Inside, the piano sat waiting, keys gleaming under the overhead lights. Lily's fingers hovered nervously above them. Michael knelt beside her, guiding her hands as he had the day before. Vanessa stepped closer, watching silently from the doorway. She noticed the way Michael's brow furrowed in concentration, the way he smiled at Lily's mistakes instead of correcting them harshly. She noticed how Lily's blind eyes sparkled with pure trust, and for a moment, Vanessa's chest ached. She remembered the tutors she had hired, the music academies, the endless programs, and how none of them had made Lily feel this alive, this brave. Michael paused mid-song, noticing her presence. "Good morning," he said softly. Unsure whether to acknowledge her fully, Vanessa smiled faintly. "Good morning." Lily leaned forward on the piano bench. "Mom, he's teaching me the part I couldn't do yesterday." Michael's eyes softened as he watched the interaction, realizing this woman, who had every right to be intimidating, was simply a mother trying to understand her daughter. He nodded politely, then returned to the keys, letting Lily's fingers find the rhythm with his guidance. For Vanessa, it was mesmerizing. She could see the bond forming not just between teacher and student, but father and child, mentor and protege, hearts connecting across differences in wealth, circumstance, and experience. When the song ended, Lily clapped softly, her face radiant. Michael lifted her small hands and gave a gentle squeeze. Vanessa approached, and Michael noticed the subtle tension in her posture. Respect, mixed with uncertainty. "Thank you," Vanessa said quietly, "for giving her your time and your heart." Michael shook his head, embarrassed. "It's nothing. I just want her to feel happy." Vanessa's eyes lingered on him, something unspoken passing between them. She realized that happiness, trust, and genuine care were worth more than any wealth could provide. As the days pass, Michael and Lily grow closer, and Vanessa must decide how far she is willing to step into a world she's never known. Part 5. A week later, the school auditorium smelled faintly of varnish and old music sheets, but it felt alive now, charged with anticipation. Michael wheeled in his mop bucket quietly, but this time, he carried something heavier: hope. Lily bounced beside him, her small hand holding his tightly, her trust unwavering. Vanessa watched from the back of the room, hidden behind a row of chairs. She had come early, unsure if she should reveal herself, unsure how to step into a life she'd only just glimpsed. Her heart ached watching the way Michael guided Lily's fingers across the piano keys, patience and warmth in every movement. "Again," Lily whispered, her voice filled with determination. Michael smiled softly. "One more time. But this time, listen with your heart, not your hands." Lily nodded, and together they began. The melody flowed smoother this time, a gentle weaving of two lives, intertwined through trust. Michael's deep, steady guidance balanced Lily's hesitancy, creating a harmony that seemed to fill the entire auditorium. Vanessa felt her breath catch. She realized that for all her wealth, she had never witnessed something this pure, someone giving entirely of themselves without expectation. Someone who loved a child not for fame, not for achievement, but for who they were. When a wrong note struck, Michael chuckled softly. "Mistakes make the music ours. Don't fear them." Lily's fingers trembled, but she continued. The melody carried her courage forward. At that moment, Vanessa felt a pang of guilt. She had worried too much, protected too tightly, created a bubble of security that often smothered Lily's joy. Here was a man tired, ordinary, imperfect, who was teaching her daughter what no tutor, no program, no amount of money ever could: trust, resilience, and love. Michael finally leaned back on the bench, his hand brushing Lily's shoulder. "See? You did it. Every note matters, and so do you." Lily grinned up at him, eyes shining. "We did it together." Vanessa felt tears prick her eyes. She stepped forward, clearing her throat softly. "Michael," she said, voice trembling slightly, I don't know how to thank you. You've given Lily something I can't describe, something I thought only I could give her." Michael's gaze lifted, locking with hers for the first time. There was surprise there, humility, and something unspoken, a silent acknowledgement that their worlds, so different in every way, had collided for a reason. Vanessa's lips curved into a small, tentative smile. "I'd like to be part of this, if that's okay." Michael's chest tightened. He didn't know how to respond, because this offer, this bridge across wealth, difference, and circumstance, was more than he ever expected. But as they begin to navigate this new bond, an unexpected challenge arises, one that will test their trust, their courage. The next afternoon, Michael found himself at the school music room again, but the air felt heavier than before. Lily sat at the piano, her fingers hovering nervously over the keys. Something in her small body language told him she had sensed a change, a shift she couldn't name. Vanessa arrived quietly, leaning against the doorway. She had promised herself she wouldn't interfere too much, yet she couldn't resist checking on Lily. Her daughter's eyes lit up the moment she saw her mother, and Michael felt a pang of unease. How much of this woman's presence would Lily notice first, the wealth, the authority, or the genuine care? Michael swallowed and forced a calm smile. "Ready for practice?" Lily nodded, then glanced at Vanessa with a small grin. "Mom's watching today." Vanessa's eyes softened, and she gave a reassuring nod, but she stayed silent, letting Michael take the lead. As the music began, Vanessa noticed something extraordinary. Michael's patience was endless. Each time Lily hit a wrong note, he didn't correct her harshly or take over. He gently guided her hands, encouraging her to try again. And when she succeeded, his quiet pride radiated, filling the room with warmth. Vanessa's chest tightened. She realized she had never seen someone love her daughter so purely, without expectation, without condition, without wealth or status entering the equation. Halfway through the piece, Lily froze, unsure of the next notes. Michael leaned closer, whispering, "It's okay. Listen with your heart. I'm right here. I crin in www.endclose.com. 2. End of crinting. End of grain. IWWW. Vanessa's throat constricted. She had spent years protecting Lily from disappointment. Yet here was a man teaching her courage, teaching her that mistakes were part of life and part of music. The piece ended softly, and Lily exhaled, a mix of relief and pride. Michael placed a hand on her shoulder. "See? Every mistake made it ours. That's the beauty of it." Vanessa stepped forward this time, her voice gentle. "Michael, I don't know how to thank you enough. You've given her something money and tutors never could." Michael shook his head, humility and embarrassment warring on his face. "I'm just trying to help her feel happy. That's all." Vanessa looked at him, her eyes glimmering with an unspoken acknowledgement. Here was a man whose heart was bigger than any fortune she had ever known. And in that moment, she realized that the connection between Michael and Lily was more than music. It was trust, love, family in its purest form. But just as hope blooms, An unexpected obstacle threatens to pull them apart, and Michael must confront it to protect the fragile bond he's built with Lily. A week later, Michael arrived at the school with a nervous knot tightening in his chest. Today wasn't just another practice today. The principal had called him in. Something about funding for the music program. Something that could affect Lily's lessons. He pushed the mop bucket aside and entered the office. The principal's face was serious, the kind of serious that made Michael's stomach twist. "Mr. Harris," the principal began, "we appreciate your dedication to the students, but there have been concerns about the liability of having a non-staff member working so closely with a student, especially a student with special needs." Michael's jaw tightened. "You mean Lily?" "Yes," the principal said gently. "She's blind, and we can't ignore regulations. I'm sorry, but we may have to restrict lessons with non-staff." Michael's chest sank. His mind raced. The time, the trust, the bond, they could all disappear. Lily would lose her courage, her joy in music, the tiny spark she'd found with him. He left the office quietly, gripping the edge of the piano in the music room. Lily was already waiting, her small hands fidgeting on the keys. She sensed his worry. "What's wrong, Daddy?" she whispered. He knelt beside her, forcing a reassuring smile. "Nothing, baby. Just a small problem. But we'll figure it out, okay?" Vanessa appeared quietly behind them, sensing the tension. She stepped closer, her voice calm yet commanding. "Michael, I think I can help." He turned, surprised, seeing her earnest expression. "I'll handle the school. You don't need to fight this alone," she said softly. "They can't take away her music, not when it's bringing her so much joy." Michael's throat tightened. Gratitude mixed with disbelief. He had been carrying this burden alone, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down every day. And now, here was a woman, Lily's mother, offering him support, not as a boss, not as authority, but as an ally. Lily looked up at them both, eyes wide. "Really? We don't have to stop?" Michael shook his head, swallowing a lump. "No, baby. We're going to keep going." Vanessa smiled softly, a silent promise. And in that moment, Michael realized that the bond they had built through patience, music, and trust was strong enough to withstand any obstacle. With the school challenge looming behind them, Michael and Vanessa step closer, their hearts quietly opening, and a new chapter of hope begins to take shape. The next afternoon, the music room was filled with sunlight, dust motes dancing like tiny stars above the piano. Michael sat beside Lily, guiding her hands gently across the keys. The melody flowed smoother than ever, each note a reflection of patience, trust, and love. Vanessa stood quietly by the doorway, watching. She no longer felt like an outsider in this space. She had stepped back long enough to let Michael shine, and now she could simply witness the bond he had built with her daughter. "Daddy, listen," Lily exclaimed, striking the correct chord this time, her fingers steady. "I did it!" Michael's eyes softened. "Yes, you did, baby. You've worked so hard." Vanessa approached them, kneeling slightly to be at Lily's level. "You've grown so much, Lily. And Michael, I don't even know how to thank you properly," she said, her voice thick with emotion. Michael shook his head, humility plain on his face. "I didn't do anything special. She's the one who made the music happen. I just helped her find her way." Vanessa smiled softly, realizing the truth in his words. But she also saw something more. A man whose heart was capable of extraordinary kindness, who gave without expecting anything in return. Someone Lily, and perhaps she herself, could trust completely. Lily clapped her small hands, eyes sparkling. "Mommy, Daddy, can we play together every day?" Michael laughed, ruffling her hair. "Absolutely, baby. Every single day." Vanessa stepped closer, placing a hand lightly on Michael's shoulder. "I think we could all use each other," she said gently. "For Lily, for Emma, for us." Michael's chest tightened. He realized that the connection between them was no longer just about music. It was about family, trust, and the courage to open one's heart. Lily leaned against him, her small face glowing with joy. Michael lifted his gaze to Vanessa, and for the first time, he saw her not as a billionaire or authority figure, but as a mother, a person who had quietly chosen to care. "You've given her something priceless," Vanessa whispered, "and you've reminded me what love really is." Michael exhaled, feeling the weight of exhaustion and worry lift. In that moment, the three of them, Michael, Lily, and Vanessa, stood together, bound by music, trust, and the fragile, unshakable courage of opening their hearts to one another. Final, inspirational message. Sometimes, the simplest acts of kindness create the strongest bonds. Love, patience, and trust can bridge worlds, and one heart willing to guide another can change a life forever. Soft call to action. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs a reminder that love and courage can transform lives.